السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته طلابنا. بعد أن أنهينا الفصل الثامن and chapter 9, today we will continue with chapter 10, which is stress in simple words. First of all, let us talk about what is stress. What is the nature of stress? We have mentioned this, let us say, term several times without explanation to it, as we have discussed chapter, for example, 8, 9, and today 10. We know that when I, for example, pronounce the word father, I stress the first, let us say, the beginning of the word, okay, the first syllable. But when I, for example, say apartment, I stress the second syllable or the second part of the word. Whereas when I say, for example, the word receive, I stress the last part or the last syllable of this word. Okay? So the stressed syllables and the unstressed syllables, let us say, are explained or are clear from our pronunciation. So the important question here is, what are the characteristics of stressed syllables that enable us to identify them? ما هي مميزات السيلابلز المشددة اللي تمكننا من تفريقهم أو معرفتهم? There are two different ways to approach or of approaching this question. To answer this question, there are two ways. Number one, I consider what the speaker does in producing stressed syllables. ماذا يفعل المتكلم عندما he produces stressed syllables. The second way is what characteristics of sound make a syllable seem to the listener to be stressed. I mean from a perceptual, let us say, point of view. من ناحية المتلقي المستمع شنو اللي يحصل له. فإذا I can answer it from the speaker point of view, the production, and the perceptual, I mean the hearer or the listener. So the first point or the first way, for example, the production of the stress is generally believed to depend on the speaker using more muscular energy than is used for the unstressed syllables. السبيكر يبذل خلينا نقول جهد عضلي أقوى أو أكبر من بس طبعا بالstressed syllables than the unstressed syllables. Okay? The muscles that we use to expel the air from the lungs are often more active, producing higher subglottal pressure and producing these stressed syllables. The other way, or on the perception, let us say, of the stress, لما أتلقى أنا كيف أسمعها أنا المستمع, okay, أو let us say from the perceptual point of view, all the stressed syllables have one characteristic in common. كلها عندها ميزة واحدة وهي السائدة, which is prominence. Prominence means العلو في أو التجديد. لما يكون مقطع مشدد, there is a prominence. Okay? So stressed syllables are recognized as stressed because they موجودة عندكم on page 74. They شنو? They are more prominent than the unstressed syllables. فإذا الstressed syllables تكون are more prominent than the unstressed syllable. تكون أقوى وأكثر علو وأشد من unstressed syllables. What makes a syllable prominent? This is also an important question. What are the factors, okay, what are the factors that make the syllable prominent. شنو اللي يخلي هذا الsyllable more prominent than the other؟ أكثر علو أو مشدد أو أقوى من البقية. There are 4 different factors. عندي 4 عوامل. Okay. Number 1, the stressed syllables are louder than the unstressed syllables. أول شيء إنه الstressed syllables يكونون louder than the other. Okay. So إذن عندي loudness. Number 2, the length of the syllables has an important part to play in prominence. The long syllable is what? Is the prominent syllable. كل ما يكون المقطع long كل ما يكون more prominent. إذن the length. Number 3, every voiced syllable is said to be or on some pitch. Okay, pitch in speech is closely related to the frequency, تردد الصوت أو vibration of the vocal folds. Okay, so the more or the high, let us say, pitch notes is the high prominent ones. كل ما كان البيتش عالي لفريكونسي التردد للvibration of the vocal cords كل ما كان الsyllable شبيه stressed and more prominent. إذا number 3 we have what? We have the pitch. And then we have number 4, الفاكتور الرابع اللي يأثر لي أو يبين لي يميز لي بأنه هذا stressed syllable وهذا unstressed syllable is what? A syllable will tend to be a prominent if it contains a vowel that is different in quality from the neighboring vowels. إذا مقطع syllable بصوت علة مختلف بالنوعية بالquality from other vowels, so it will be what? More prominent. More prominent. بالكتاب عندنا we have this example. We have ba, 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 ba. If I put, for example, in, طبعا it is a nonsense word, ما لها معنى, but if I put in between these, let us say, regular vowels, I put, for example, the vowel E, sorry, not A, it will be more prominent, distinguished one, مميز. For example, when I say ba, 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 or when I say ba, bi, ba, ba, then the B is what? Will be different, so will be what? More prominent. So prominence, أكو عندي مقطع بالأخير paragraph قبل 10.2 very important إنه prominence is produced by 4 main factors تحدد ب4 عوامل. Number 1 loudness, number 2 length, number 3 pitch, and we have what? Quality. Okay? Yes. Of course, these 4 factors work together in combination. Okay? يعني وحدة تعتمد على كلها مشتركة تشتغل لي حتى تبين إنه الsyllable made يعني prominent by means of these 4 factors. The combination of these 4 factors. الموضوع الثاني in this chapter is in 10.2 on page 74. We have levels of stress. Levels of stress. إذا تجديد الستريس موجودة عندي وإلها levels. What are these levels? Of course, we will begin with the words, the simple words, the words in isolation, not in a sentence, not in a connected speech. راح نتكلم عن الكلمات مفردة فحتى يكون علينا أسهل في معرفة levels of stress. This means that we are looking at words as they are said in isolation, which is a rather artificial situation, of course. يعني ما أقدر أتكلم word by word. For example, if I say I will travel to Baghdad, I will not say I will travel to. So this is an artificial situation, right? مصطنع. Although we have some words, we can say words in isolation. For example, when I say yes, no, please, for example, in the interrogative words, for example, I go like what, how, who, etc. So these are the, let us say, the correct way of saying these words. So let us now concentrate or focus on these words in isolation, and it is what it is, a rather artificial situation. Okay. You have a diagram on page 75. Okay, we have two levels here, two layers, two lines. Okay, two lines. You have here two lines, and in between we have a curve. صحيح هذا المنحني. These two lines, okay, these two lines, parallel, let us say, lines اللي هم المتوازيين, represent the speaker's highest and the lowest pitch level. Here we have what? The highest and the lowest pitch level. The prominence that results from this pitch movement or the tone gives the strongest type of stress, and it is called the primary stress. أعلى قمة من هذا الانحناء اللي هي البيتش of my tone, العلو في ارتفاع صوتي أو النغمة مالتي, is called what? It is here the highest one is called what? The strongest, type of stress is called the primary stress. فأعلى شيء أوصل له أسميها شنو؟ the primary stress. And somewhere we can observe a type of stress that is weaker than the primary stress. في بعض المقاطع عندي يمكن أن أوصل إلى يعني stress ولكنها تكون أضعف than the primary stress. Okay? For example, when I say around is different from, for example, when I say pay is the strongest one. It is the primary one. But when I say around, here we have the weaker one, which is secondary. For example, when I say photographic, the stress in these words is called secondary stress. Okay, of course the stress is the simple for this الرمز إلها vertical, يعني شايفين أنتم الإشارة كأنها خط صغير. The secondary stress لها transcription لما أكتب مثلا I transcribe some words with secondary stress, I put a low mark لي جوا. Okay, low mark. Okay. So till now we have what? We have identified two levels of stress. Then كم levels عندي من stress? عندي the highest one اللي هي highest, let us say, pitch level, which is what? The primary stress. And the second one اللي هي weaker than the other اللي هي سميناها secondary stress. Okay. Of course we have another kind of syllables اللي هم unstress. Unstress, I mean the absence of any recognizable amount of prominence. ماكو أي يعني كمية أو خلينا نقول ملحوظة عن the prominence of the syllables. So here we have three levels. We have the primary, we have the secondary, and in between we have what? The unstressed syllables. Okay. نأتي إلى 10.3. We have the placement of stress within the word. This is an important subject. It is let us say, the beginning of the important points in stress. البداية لموضوع مهم بالstress. When أضع الstress? The placement of stress within the word. Okay? So we now come to a question that causes a great deal of difficulty, particularly to whom? To foreign learners. Okay? So how can we select the correct syllable or syllables to stress in an English word? When أضعها? When الcorrect syllable أو correct syllables حتى أضع الstress بالكلمة طبعا الإنجليزية أو في الكلمة في اللغة الإنجليزية. For example, it is usually, for example, in French, we have the last syllable in all the words is usually stressed. كل آخر مقطع في الكلمات الفرنسية is what is stressed. In Polish, for example, the syllable before the last يكون usually stressed. In Czech, for example, the first syllable is usually stressed. In English, no. It is not. The case is not like this. Okay? It is not like French or Polish or Czech. So many writers have said that the English word stress is so difficult to predict that it is best to treat. فإذا الحل إيش؟ It is best to treat stress placement as a property of the individual word. فإذا المفروض when I learn a new word, I learn the placement of the stress in this word. Why? Because we do not have this, let us say, general, okay, rule as in French, Polish, or Czech, for example. Clear? Okay. So in the middle of the page, in order to decide on stress placement, it is necessary to make use of some or all of the following information. فإذا من أريد أثبت أني مكان الستريس لازم أخذ بنظر الاعتبار يعني خلينا نقول نقاط من المعلومات، 4 معلومات لازم أنتبه لهم. Number 1, whether the word is morphologically simple or whether it is complex. لازم انتبه الكلمات اللي أنا أريد. طبعا احنا قلنا نتحدث عن كلمات منفردة الآن حتى نبدي بعملية تعلم الستريس. فإذا لازم انتبه the word is simple، تتكون من simple one word or it is complex. Complex I mean بيها affixes، بيها prefix، بيها infix، بيها suffix. هذه أسميها complex word. So number 1, I should pay attention whether the word morphologically simple or it is complex. Number 1. 2. What is the grammatical category of the word? ما هي الword اللي أتحدث عنها؟ هل هي noun؟ هل هي verb؟ هل هي adjective؟ هل هي adverb؟ etc. Clear? هذه number 2. Number 3. How many syllables the word has? هل الكلمة تتكون من 1 syllable and 2 syllable words and 3 syllable words, right? فإذا أيضا I should pay attention to these or to this information. Number 4. What is the phonological structure of those syllables? What the phonological structure? phonological structure لهذه الكلمات، هل هي يعني بيها مثلا vowels اللي اعتبرناها weak؟ تذكروا احنا قلنا syllables اللي for example اللي consist of one of the vowels contain one of the vowels اللي هو الشوا or الإي or الأو، هذه تعتبر weak syllables. واحنا عرفنا انه weak syllables تاخذ stress ولا no؟ No, it doesn't take a stress. فإذا هاي كلها phonological features، كلها صفات صوتية معينة لازم أعرفها أني حتى أقرر where should I put the stress. So the stress placement إذا جانا سؤال the stress placement على من يعتمد؟ يعتمد على number 1 whether the word is morphologically simple or complex. Number 2, what the grammatical category of the word, whether it is noun, verb, adjective, adverb, etc. And how many syllables are there in the word. Okay, and the last one قلنا شنو هاي phonological what features I should know them. Clear? نجي إلى موضوع آخر اللي هو 2 syllable words. طبعا احنا تكلمنا عن ال 1 syllable، قلنا ال 1 syllable لازم ننتبه على نقطة معينة إنه هي إذا كانت الكلمة تتكون من syllable واحد فقط، فإذا كانت تحويلي على الفاولز اللي هم الشوا والإي والأو، فإذا هي هاي شنو تكون unstressed. خلوا بالكم. إذا كانت الكلمة تتكون لي من 2 syllable words، الword تتكون لي من 2 syllables. Okay, what is the problem with this? Let us see. This is on page 77. 2 syllable words. In the case of simple 2 syllable words, either the first or the second syllable will be stressed, not both. هذا أول قانون. إذا عندي كلمة تتكون من 2 syllables، يا أما السيلابل الأول هو بيه الستريس، يا أما السيلابل الثاني ما يصير 2 syllables بيهم يكونون stressed. Okay? So, there is a general tendency for the verbs to be stressed like this, and for the verbs to be like this, to the adjectives to be like this, and to the adverbs to be like this. Okay? فإذا إذا كانت عندي الكلمة تتكون لي من two syllables, either the first syllable is stressed or the second syllable is stressed and not both. So let us begin with the verbs. إذا كان عندي verb, there is a general tendency for the verbs to be stressed rather on the second syllable to the end of the word. الverb وين تكون الستريس مالته؟ بالمقطع الثاني. هو two syllables فإذا الستريس تكون وين بالverbs؟ على المقطع الثاني. بالnouns no, الستريس يكون near the beginning, the first syllable. فالمقطع الأول بالnouns هو يكون stress. Of course, let us begin with the verbs. If the final syllable, انتبهوا هاي بيها شواذ بيها قواعد معينة. إذا كان الفاينل syllable is weak، احنا قبل شوي قلنا الverb يكون stress بالsecond one، لكن الsecond one جيته لقيته هو weak، فإذا the first syllable should be stress. بيجي حالة وين يكون الستريس تنتقل إلى الsyllable الأول. مثلا عندي الverb enter. لاحظ عندك بالكتاب الترانسكريبشن واضح، المقطع الثاني يتكون لي من شوا. قلنا أي مقطع به شوا راح يكون هذا يفقد الستريس، يكون unstressed، إذا لازم الستريس وين تروح؟ على الأولى. أو مثلا for example when I say open, clear? Or for example when I say equal. Okay, so here we have the first syllable is stress. A final syllable is also unstressed if it contains الأو. أيضا الأفعال اللي تنتهي لي بأو for example when I say follow, borrow, okay, مثل هيجي أيضا الفاينل one تكون unstressed. فإذا وين يتحول الستريس؟ على المقطع الأول. If the final syllable is strong, then the syllable is stressed. Even the first syllable is also strong. For example, when I say apply, the play sound is what is or attract. I mean the first syllable is stressed and the last syllable also is what is stressed one. Okay. Two syllable simple adjectives. سنجي على الادجectives. ليش بديت بالadjectives والnouns؟ لأن الadjectives are treated like the verbs. They are stressed according to the same rule of the verbs. For example, when I say lovely, even, hollow, or divine, correct, or alive، فيكون الستريس وين؟ المقطع الثاني. طبعا اكو شواذ. There are exceptions. For example, when I say honest or perfect, both of which end with the strong syllables but are stressed on the first syllable. يكون وين؟ على the first syllables. Okay. Then we have the nouns. The nouns of course require a different rule. How? إنه the stress will fall on the first syllable. Okay. The nouns and the adverbs, are the same. The nouns are different from the verbs, adjectives, and the adverbs or verbs or adjectives. Okay. The nouns when يكون stress fall on the first syllable unless the first syllable of course is weak. ما عدا إذا كان weak راح ينتقل to the second syllable. For example, when I say money, or product, or larynx, or divan, or balloon, design. So here we have what? The stress will fall on the first syllable unless the first one is weak. Okay. Now, so we have said that the adverbs seem to behave like the verbs and the adjectives. L'attenzione, adverbs, the verbs, the adjectives are the same. The different is what? Is the noun. The last point for today is the three-syllable words. If I have a word consists of 3 syllables, what will I or what should I, where should I put the stress? Now we talk about the placement. مكان أخلي بيه الستريس على الكلمة. Here we will find a more complicated picture. راح تكون إن الصورة شوية يعني أعقد. The problem is the difficulty of identifying the 3-syllable words. يعني أولاً لازم نحدد إنه هذه الكلمة تتكون لي من 3 syllables مقاطع. Okay. طبعا in simple verbs, if the final syllable is strong, then it will receive a primary stress. مو يعني خلصنا من هذا الشيء. الverb راح يكون وين يكون على second syllable. If the last syllable is weak, then the syllable الأخير weak, so it will be unstressed. فإذا الستريس راح وين تروح تكون على preceding syllable، على اللي قبله. طبعا منطيني أمثلة مثلا على المثال الأول for example when I say entertain okay هنا أنا عندي entertain 3 syllables، المقطع الأخير هو اللي ياخذ لي الستريس. إذا كانت عندي مثلا كلمات بالأخير هي راح تكون weak syllable weak، فوين تنتقل الستريس اللي على قبلها. for example when I say encounter وين يكون السيلابل هيجي حالة ستريس سوري على ما قبل الأخير. ليش؟ لأن المقطع الأخير هو تا شوا ما يصير عليه ستريس. If both the second and the third syllables are weak زين إذا عندي فعل المقطع الثاني بي والثالث هم ضعيف فشو نسوي؟ راح الستريس falls on the initial syllable، راح يكون يضطر تتحرك ستريس على المقطع الأول. For example when I say monitor okay المقطع الثاني والثالث ضعيفين لذلك الستريس وين راح تكون على الفيرست syllable. Now we go to the nouns. The nouns require a slightly different rule. The general tendency إن احنا للستريس to fall on what? On the first syllable. هنا عنده الnoun على الفيرست syllable. Okay, unless it is weak. then إذا weak كيف؟ إذا الword إذا الsyllable يكون the first one is syllable the first syllable I mean is weak, so the stress comes to what? To the next syllable. راح تروح إلى الsyllable الثاني. For example when I say disaster so D is what is weak, so the stress when will go to what? To the disaster. When a 3-syllable noun has strong final syllable, the syllable will not usually receive the main stress. أما إذا كان النون عندي يتكون من 3 مقاطع والمقطع الأخير هو strong one okay فهذه عادة هذا المقطع ما يشمل لي ما ياخذ لي main stress primary stress. Adjectives seem to need to the same rule and it behaves like the nouns. The adjectives like the nouns بال3 syllable words الادجectives تشتغل لي شغل النouns okay. Here you have for example opportune, for example derelict, insolent, anthropoid okay. These are the rules, certainly do not cover all the words in English, okay? But we can apply them to the most of the words. They can help us to put the stress, to know where the stress should be put, okay? Of course, for example, we have the categories of the lexical words, I mean the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, the adverbs, etc. But this will not, or these rules will not cover, for example, the words, the function words they are called. Function words اللي هي جماعة الارticles, prepositions. هذه الrules ما يمكن أن تنطبق عليهم وإنما فقط قلنا اللي تكلمنا عليها تنطبق على lexical words only. Okay? So, and this is the end of our chapter for today, which was about the stress in simple words. We have said that the stress syllables are the syllables which are pronounced with high energy, with let us say, the muscles that we use to expel the air are often more active and we produce higher subglottal pressure. And there is an important question here. What are the characteristics of stress syllables and that enable us to identify them? We have 2 approaches, okay, or 2 ways to approach this question. The first one is the prediction, let us say, from the point of view of prediction, and the second one of the perception. And we have said that we have 4 factors that make a syllable prominent, which are loudness, length, pitch, and quality. Then we talked about the levels of stress. We have 2 levels. We have the primary stress, and the second one is the secondary stress. The primary one, I put a vertical, a small mark as a symbol, whereas for the secondary stress I use a low mark. Of course, we have another kind of syllables, which are unstressed syllables. In 10.3, there was an important subject, which is the placement of stress. How can one select or get the correct syllable or the syllables to stress in an English word? Okay, and it is very difficult, let us say. We have general rules about this. In order to decide on stress placement, we should take in consideration 4 points of important information. Number 1, whether the word is simple or complex. Number 2, the category of the word, whether it is noun, verb, adjective, and how many syllables are there. Is it a 1-syllable word, a 2-syllable word, or 3-syllable words? Okay, and then we talked about the phonological structure. We have said that the syllable which has vowels like schwa, e, and u are called what? Weak syllables. تذكرون syllabic consonants. Also weak. لا تنسوها ال والn والm والr. Okay, they are syllabic consonant sound, and these syllables are weak. Do not, let us say, get the stress. Concerning the 2-syllable words, we have, of course, the words may consist of 2 syllables. Okay, so either the first or the second syllable will be stressed, not both. For the verbs, the tendency for the stress to be at the end of the verbs. I mean the final syllable. راح يكون. And for the nouns, no, it will be for what or on the first syllable. For the adjectives are like the verbs, and the adverbs are like the verbs. Only the nouns are different here. We have the stress will fall on the first syllable only. Concerning the 3-syllable words, بالنسبة للكلمات تتكون من 3 syllables, we have here the difficulty of identifying these words if they are consist of do they consist of 3 syllables or no? Okay, so this is a problem. And if we have this, let us say, knowledge about this word, I know that it is or it consists of 3 syllables. So if it is a verb, it will be at the end of the syllable, the final syllable, the stress will be. And if it is a noun, no, it will be at the, let us say, the beginning, the first syllable. Here in the 3-syllable words, the adjectives behave like the nouns, not like the 2-word syllables. Of course, these are the rules that that enable us to know where should I put the stress, but this, of course, do not cover all or the whole, let us say, words in English. For example, the function words, the article, the prepositions. No, I need more, let us say, experience and knowledge in English language to know that. Clear? So we have here on page 81. On page 81, we have an exercise which is very important one, and it is like the practice for you. So please, your assignment also will cover the written exercises on page 81. Mark the stress on the following words, the verbs and the nouns. The verbs, we have number 1 and 2. These are very important, and they will learn you or teach you, to learn where to put the stress on these words. Okay, so this is the end of our lecture for next week, for this week, for this week on Thursday at 11:30 in the morning, and we shall continue, God willing, with chapter 11 next week, which is complex verse stress. Thank you very much, and goodbye.